In this lesson, we will create a table in Visual Studio. We will get started by reviewing some basic information about tables and discussing the components of a table first. The main purpose of a table is to store data such as company transactions, inventory, and journals. Tables contain rows and columns, and the rows are called records. The columns are called fields. You can think of a table like a spreadsheet. Collectively, tables are stored in a database and work together to receive data and deliver data to the end user and outputs such as forms and reports. Tables can also contain metadata, which is not business data, but rather configuration data, such as system settings. Here we have a table on the screen that shows two different fields. We have name and category. The properties of this table define the other settings, such as whether it is temporary and whether it is created by and created date information should be tracked. Here we have another example over on the right-hand side. This is a table hierarchy, so each of the tables are related by an ID that is stored as a column or field into the table. Each table has additional information about the contact, such as email, address, and name information. Here on the screen is the Visual Studio Designer for a table. We can see the top level node of the table or grid icon with the default name of Table 1. Below are different components that make up a table. So in the Designer, each of these are called nodes. So we have fields, field groups, indexes, we have relations if there's any relations with other tables. We also at the bottom have our methods and events. Our fields are going to be all of our different EDTs that we are adding as fields, and then we can create field groups as well. These are logical groupings of physical database fields, so field groups can be referenced directly on forms and reports, so that when a modification is made to a field group, related references are automatically updated to reference the new content of the group. We also have indexes below field groups, which is a way to speed up the retrieval of data from a table. So for example, if we often select only the customer ID and customer address in queries, we may want to create an index on those two fields to speed up the queries that are selecting those specific fields. We also have full text indexes as well right below indexes, and these are similar to regular indexes, but they're optimized specifically for substring text search. Again, we have relations where we can define how this table relates to records in other tables. We also have delete actions. This node will not be used for new development. Starting with this version of the product, delete actions are specified on properties of a table relation. However, the node remains for upgrades from previous versions. We'll look at these pieces more in depth in next modules. The state machines node, this is a feature that enables workflow events to be bound to state transactions on underlying entity state machine. This enables you to perform state transitions within a workflow without writing any additional code. Additionally, we have mappings. This feature enables you to associate table fields with fields defined in a separate map. This means you can use the same field name to access fields with different names in different tables. So for example, in two separate address tables, one may refer to the zip code field as zip code, and the other might call it a postal code, but a common map referenced by both tables may unify the field reference as just zip. And at the bottom here, we have our methods and events. Methods are just our pieces of code that are added to a table. They are often executed with certain events or changes in the data that occur. So for example, there can be a method to insert data into a table or to find data in a table. And then finally, events are triggers that occur in conjunction with certain activities in the table. They may initiate any event handlers which are listening for certain events. For example, if we want to activate a method when a table record is being updated, we could register the event handler against the onUpdating event, which exists by default on every table.